Coming in hot. What's up, y'all? Cattleprod. And cat. Cattleprod and cat. It's like an 80s sitcom. No joke, that was probably actually a sitcom. A guy with a talking cat. Comment down below if that's a thing. If anybody recalls, like, was there a show with a dude with a talking cat? Besides Garfield. It's like an obvious one. Can't do that one. I'm sure it's been done. Were these like witches' familiars back in the day? Yeah. Oh, I learned something about those old pictures of witches where they're like hags with big noses and warts and hair and a hat and all that, and the cauldron. Apparently what that was making fun of is like a political cartoon. The cauldron and the clothes. The cauldron is how people cook their food, and the clothes they wore at that same time. But when that drawing was made, those were old people, which is why she's always shown as an old woman. It's because that was representing not a witch and Satan and sorcery. It was supposed to represent the old ways. Some age of enlightenment came in and they were like, oh, the old ways and the old hags with the cauldrons. Yeah, we know about those. And they always have like cats that they talk to. Does the cat talk back to them? And it's like, yeah, the cat does. Cats talk back to you if you're a human. I can get my cat to talk, man. I get all every cat I've ever had, I can get them to talk to me and like respond to me. And I know that they understand certain words. So yeah, familiar talking cat. It was all political cartoons, man. They were just trying to show you that those were the bad people, those were the old ways, we gotta get rid of them. Propaganda. Woo! You know why they always showed Napoleon as short? It was just a joke. He wasn't any bigger or taller than anybody else. They always just made him short. Just because they wanted the king of England to be all towering and dominating over him. Because there's been times when the crown, those people were like considered like godlike. Like came down from God himself or some shit. Does the monarchists, didn't they believe that they had divine right of rule and shit? And then you get the Rockefellers and the Carnegies and the Morgans and Chases and all them, and they actually used that same excuse. It was divinity or whatever. They call it not social Darwinism. They had some other name for it, but it essentially meant the same. They were like deified. Fuck those people. Anybody thinking, oh, God put me here to make your life better. Fuck that guy. Oh no. Nah, I prefer the types like God put me here just to be awkward and alienate people. Yeah. What did Eminem say? God sent me to piss the world off. That's a good line. It's a good line. Too bad he went cheap later on, but that happens to every single rapper. They come out all strong and they kind of just fizzle. That happens in their scene, man. They all have to be super tough, and they don't venerate the old people, their elders. Like, that's the cool thing about metal. We tend to venerate be happy with the, say nice things about the elder generation that came before us. Even if we're not totally into the music, they're still doing it. So, like people like King Fowley. Like 30 years he's been doing that band. It was just such an honor to meet a dude who had been gutting it out for 30-something years. Seems like more than that, but yeah. Metal does that. Rap doesn't do that. Think about that. Except for like Cool Modi, Grandmaster Flash. Grandmaster Flash probably dead by now. Yeah, I think he died a long time ago. Anyways, I'm talking about early American hip-hop for some reason. I was around in that era. I remember when that stuff came out, it was brand new. You kind of had to listen to it. It was, well, where I lived, you were going to hear it whether you wanted to do it or not. But some of it I liked, I actually tripped out some old black dude one time. He was just working his crap job, working at a truck stop, keeping the place clean, the showers and everything, just cleaning the bathrooms. He just started one in, go around. That was his job, man. I made sure I put a couple bucks in his tip jar. Like, here you go, homie. It's for you. He was playing Parliament Funkadelic, and I actually called out the song and the artist. I was like, sitting there just taking a leak. That's Parliament Funkadelic playing. I just kept it to myself, and then I was like, which is wash my hands and shit. I was like, this is Parliament Funkadelic. And he's like, yep, One Nation Under a Groove, man. George Clinton, Bootsy Collins. I love this shit. It's my favorite, dude. I love this stuff. And he was like, here I am, this white guy biker, because I was in a club back then. He just thought I was like, wow, you're not the age of that music. I learned about it. This music's awesome. That's why I love death metal so much. Okay, somebody commented, I don't remember who. Maybe I'll find out here in a second. Maximum the Hormone. Maximum the Hormone. That's a Japanese band. The person who told me about it was like, it's System of a Down, but Japanese. That's the best answer I can give you. It is definitely System of a Down, but Japanese. The only things I would say didn't like about it is it was too Japanese in parts. You know how the Japanese can have those singy parts? Like, you know, anime style, like the intro to an anime or whatever. And they're all just singing and bellowing as they're singing. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like it when any singer does that. It's my least favorite part of the song. It's always the bellow part. That whole melodic part, I always hate that about music. It's never my favorite part. But everything else Maximum the Hormone was doing was fucking gold. Their bass player knew what the fuck he was doing. U.E. Chang. Yu Chang. That bass player knew what the fuck was up. Those are some really good musicians, just all the way around. Maximum the Hormone, they know what they're doing with their instruments. They had a song called Louisiana Bob. Louisiana Bob. I was like, I have to hear that. What's that all about? Well, it's Imagine System of a Down wrote a song called, you know, North Carolina Jim. You'd expect something from System of a Down. Well, that's exactly what I got from Maximum the Hormone over here. Oh, it's TCL. TCL 2006 said that. Japanese band, Maximum the Hormone. It's like System of a Down. With some death metal vocals, yeah, at times. He recommended Sumi Sumi Sumi. But Marty Friedman also did a cover. So Sumi Sumi Sumi, it's T-S-U-M-E. So not Sue Me, but T-S-U-M-E. Tsumi. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, bro, TCL, that's all you, dog. That's all you. I gave it a shot. I'll probably try to revisit that again in the future. But, yeah, I'm not feeling you. I mean, I like the fact that it exists, but I'm not sure what I can do with it. That enhances my life, but I don't know what to do with that knowledge just yet. Comments on the Technocrats and the Masters of the Universe video. You like the Masters of the Universe thing? I had to throw that in there. I thought that sounded cool. Had a lot of meta type layering going on. I don't know. Sloptron. What's up, Sloptron? Who's that a picture of? I can't even tell. Sloptron's on to something here, y'all. He says, I say not fuck technology, but I think the technology should be for the people, not for corporations to make money. Oh, my friend. Sloptron, you're talking about internet and technology, to a certain extent, being a public utility. Ooh, dog. Can you imagine if that fell under, like, electricity and water? And all of a sudden became widely accessible at an extremely low cost. And there was the people who were getting all the access. And if you wanted to utilize the internet as a business, it'd cost you, but it would cost you different than what it does today. It's not saying it's going to be free on one end and more expensive on the other. There's a balance. And it's finding that balance of what part of technology should be a public utility for the public, for the people. What percentage should be considered that? A public utility. Yeah, we are on to something. And I've heard people bring this up to me, and it was usually my far left friends that were like, the internet just needs to be free. And I'm like, I like where you're going. And this is why you talk to people who are different than you. There was a time I would have never talked to a far left person. I would have turned my nose up at them. But something told me that was a bad idea, and I would fail to learn something. Remember, only the The foolish person is the one that says, I can learn nothing from that other person. You can always learn something from the other person, even if you detest them. So hanging out with a far left friend, one of them said, internet should be free. And I'm like, internet is a public utility. Internet for the people at a low, low cost. Now, a higher cost than the people that are going to be doing anything with it and making money from it. If you're making money from it, I do think a portion of that money should be taken to keep the whole damn thing working. Now, how are we going to implement that? I have no idea, but it has to be on a volunteer basis. That's my big thing, my big hang-up. Internet is a public utility, but it has to be on a volunteer basis. Well, it's never going to work if it's all a volunteer. No, you just start making limitations. You only get access to this and this. Well, how are you going to enforce it? Aha! Now we're running into a problem. How do we enforce voluntary only? Well, especially when we all agree we want the internet. Well, someone's going to have to sit down and find out how much this is going to feasibly cost us to keep this thing running the way we want it and do what we need it to do. And it's very clear what we want it to do. We tell people what we want this thing to do. So finding that balance. Somebody's going to sit down and tell us this is what it's going to cost you in the long run and this is what it's going to cost you in the short run. Give us that choice. We decide how we want to proceed. And on that choice, people can be like, oh, I think it should just be a flat blanket cost for everybody to share the misery. Cool. Welcome to that world. It's like, well, I don't want to participate. I think it should be like this. Cool. Welcome to that world. Probably a step down in technology for some and a step up for others. But some of the most simple and basic forms of communication, especially internet communication, being readily available to everyone. We are so fucking close, y'all. You have no idea. You are going to see it in your lifetime. The answers to these questions are coming very soon. There's sometimes some questions you haven't thought of. And once you hear all these choices, you're going to get a whole nother bag of questions. And that's when D-class starts really kicking in. That's when all that information that's been hidden from us for a long, long time, longer than you can imagine in some cases. That's when it all starts becoming available to us and humanity starts making big changes really fast.
Now they will know why they are afraid of the dark.
Congratulations, everybody. You are here. Welcome to the 21st century. Just remember me when you're making your decision. I hope I imparted some wisdom onto you on how to best make that decision. And remember, the only way systems work is if you agree to it. If you don't agree to it, it won't work. And you're going to be offered some things and they're going to sound good. There's always a hidden cost. There's always a bottom line. There's always, fine print. The good news is these people have to be very honest with you up front or else it doesn't work. And, well, like you can sue and stuff and get out of it. They don't want you to do that. They want you plugged into this system. Just want to make sure that you guys are fully aware of the choice you're about to make and its consequences. But that stems from internet as a public utility. What do y'all think? Comment down below. How do y'all feel about that? Kind of curious, man, because some of the talkback I got when I mentioned that idea, usually from your more conservative types, was like an immediate hard no. They're like, no. Conservatives tend to want a system that works to keep functioning the way it's working and not change it too much, because a lot of conservative types, they come from eras and time periods and environments, it's an environmental thing, that were stable. They didn't want to rock the boat too much because they realized what instability could do. So don't be angry with your conservative friends. They're coming from a very good place. Now, a lot of these systems have run their course on our souls and our minds and just they've become very taxing. So talking to conservatives sometimes can be challenging. Trust me, I was called a conservative by my far left friends, but I was called kind of a moderate by conservative people. And conservatives the moderate people just didn't think I was an anarchist. So just kind of split the difference. I tried to hear a lot of ideas. It's like, oh, you're a moderate. It's like, yeah, but I don't like government fucking at all. I literally want its eradication in all its forms. I've had to tell people, I am done with representative government. I think this system has failed us. Because those people that represent us, they can be bought. And they frequently are. Too many people are asking the question, it seems like our representatives forget us the moment they go to Capitol Hill. Yeah, they do. The moment they cross that finish line, they don't give a shit. They're concerned about their re-election, so they know what lines to toe. Other than that, they know there's shit they can do that you don't even know about it. They're fucking with shit you ain't even heard of. And stuff we don't even know about. They keep it hidden, man. They keep those secrets very closely guarded. What are those secrets? Rapid changes in technology. We've had it for many, many years. I mean, the stuff we're getting now, it's like iPhone 17 or whatever we're up to. How fucking insane is that? I can't even keep track of those things anymore. And devices and things like that. They got us spinning our wheels with small changes to technology. Meanwhile, they're using technology that would make this what we would consider obsolete. We always throw around the word obsolete, but obsolete doesn't mean what you think it does. Obsolete means it's like it's not going to work anymore. Because you can't buy replacement parts for it anymore. You have to manufacture all that shit. Nobody wants to. Because it's like by the time you do that, you could have bought 10 of the other things, the newer things. And they just got us in that loop. But we'll be coming out of it soon. I don't know what it's gonna be. I really don't. Maybe mind-to-mind communication. Who knows? I mean, the CIA freaking admitted that psychic projection, also known as astral projection, like psychic spies, apparently, people that can go around the entire planet in their fucking mind and like see details that are around them that actually have like an amazingly high degree of accuracy. It's like, cool, sit in that fucking chair and telepathically go to my office and see what's on top of my desk. And the guy would like wake up and be like a party hat or whatever. The dude was, they're like, yeah, how the fuck do you know that? He's like, because I can do that. Well, anyways, the CIA, well, the military, it was the U.S. Army that did this at Fort Benning or Fort Bragg. I think it was Fort Benning though. They created with psychic spies. And they came up with like an entire company of them. And now psychic spies are just kind of a thing. And it's funny, the CIA told us like just a couple years ago, like, oh yeah, that's like the whole thing now. Like, yeah, and the fun part is like 75-80% of all people can do it. There's only a few people that can't. And some of them, I guess, would be a physical or physiological or genetic reason why they couldn't. Psychic spies. Well, guess what they did with that information? They didn't make an army of psychics. No, they just brainwashed the masses. Just made everybody complacent and retarded. Yep. I mean, did you ever think that all this weird shit happening was like, didn't seem right? Seemed like humanity was going some other direction, then all of a sudden it just veered off the course and became a dumb version of itself? Did you ever think that like, man, I'm alone in all these people? No, you're one of the few people that it's not affecting. So it affects all of us to a certain extent, but a lot of us just have to shrug it off, and then a lot of us get a peek behind the curtain and realize what's actually going on, and we're much better at fighting it and resisting it to the point where we can actually manipulate it and play with it. And our job is to kind of come out and tell you guys that we can do that, and that it's not an enviable position to be in, to be able to like break those chains of reality. One is taxing on your sanity, and two, there's a lot of people in charge that don't like you knowing how to do that. That's a coveted, prized material that you've got your hands on, and 80% of you can do it. So, hidden technology. What's one of the big hidden technologies? It's your brain. You're about to find out what your brain can actually do. And some of y'all are probably going, wait, I think he's onto something. Welcome to the party. What do you think, Kat? Is that some occulted information? Yeah, that'll get you in trouble. Oh, boy. Yeah, local Freemasons don't like me. But soon, it won't matter what I say. It won't matter that I told you. So, I'm Cattleprod, Appalachian Warlord. That was vile. Depopulate. See you on the next one.